it hits near and dear to my heart. Coach Belichick, Mr. Bill Belichick, the greatest coach of all time. I don't think it's an argument anymore. And I still believe the best coach in football today. I just stand by that. I think if the greatest of all time is doing what they're doing, I don't know how you can't have them as the number one person in the entire in their category or whatever the hell you want to call it. Is Bill Belichick being exposed? As a head coach, no. No. I don't think anybody's going to say, and you'll hear everybody talk about it. The coaching is not the problem. Bill
Not at
Belichick
all.
didn't just forget how to coach. Okay, he didn't just overnight just be like, "Oh, I'm a dummy now. I don't know how to coach football." No, that didn't happen. What Bill Belichick's problem is he's not a good GM. He's the one picking the talent, picking the groceries, as Mr. Bill Parcells said, his mentor. He's not doing a good job. There's obviously these numbers out there, these stats, facts, whatever you want to call it, out there. Since 2010, I think Bill Belichick has only drafted 3 All-Pro players. One of them was a punter, and 2 of them were returners. He hasn't drafted a high-end offensive weapon since James White in 2016, I believe, or 2014, whatever the year that was. And James White, while I love James White and he was a great receiving back, he wasn't, this top running back or anything in the league. So even before that, if you really want to go, when was the last time you drafted a true high-end talent? Well, yes, you would have to go back to Aaron Hernandez and Rob Gronkowski in 2010. That's laughable. So when you look at that, it really comes bright into your eyes. It was really just Tom will figure it out. Tom will figure it out on an offensive end, right? And that's a shame, right? And I love Jules. Jules is an incredible player, clutch as hell. But it's Bill's fault in terms of that, picking the talent, spending all that money in free agency a couple of years ago. But this year, he also just it's hard to freaking talk through because it's such just a mess of what's happened the past couple of years since Brady left. Obviously, we had the Cam Newton year where I believe we should have kind of tanked, but we didn't. We signed Cam. We went 7-9, right? Then the year after, we get Mac Jones. We start him. We make the playoffs 10-7 with a rookie quarterback. I don't want to hear we got blown out by the Bills. That doesn't matter. Right? The Bills were a better team than us. Okay, the Bills had Super Bowl aspirations. The Patriots didn't even have playoff aspirations going in. So making the playoffs was a hell of a success for that season. But then Bill made the critical error. Josh McDaniels takes the job in Vegas, and malpractice happens, and he brings in his buddies Matt Patricia and Joe Judge, a special teams coordinator and a defensive coordinator to coach offense.
Silly decisions.
I mean, silly is an understatement, Q. It was damn near a fireable offense. Like that is something that I said this, that hurt the development and progression of Mac Jones's career. And it might have ruined his entire career. We don't know. Like he might never be able to recover from that. Bill O'Brien, but thank God he realizes the error of his ways and he brings in Bill O'Brien, a buddy from his back in 2010, 2011, coaching for the Patriots offensively, was in Alabama, familiar with Mac, comes in, right? Love the move. But the players are just not what we need to be. I said this throughout the entire offseason, right? First off, I'm still befuzzled why Jacoby Myers is still not a New England Patriot. Okay, because we gave that contract to Juju, which made no sense to me. I said it then. I'm going to say it now. It made no sense to me. They're basically the same player, and I would actually argue Jacoby is better at this point in time than Juju.
Yeah,
And I think I'd be factually correct by that. Yeah, because
better.
Juju is shot. His knees, he's shot. He's not the same guy anymore. So you should have paid Jacoby. Devontae Parker, Mr. Devontae Parker, he's a one-trick pony. He's a throw it up 50-50 ball.
That's
and he's
it.
not, and he's not Des Bryant. He's not. He's not very good. And the O-line has been compromised throughout the entire season so far. I like KB. I like Kendrick Bourne. I've always called him a playmaker. When you get the ball in his hands, he makes plays. He's not a 1. He's not really a 2, but he's a guy who can make plays. I like Ramondre. He hasn't played well at all this season. Gesicki, I like. Hunter Henry, I like. I like this kid Pop, Demario Douglas, I believe his name is. I
Oh, yeah,
love the
Pop
nickname
Douglas.
Pop. He's got some burst to him. And then I cannot wait to see what Tyquan Thornton can really be. Second round pick, 6'2", runs a 4.2. I need to see what this guy can do in extended playing time. But I say all that, and the meat of the matter is the problem still remains. We have no difference maker on the offensive end. None. DeAndre Hopkins was that guy. D-Hop was that guy to go get. The rumors were obviously out there. We were in talks and blah, blah, blah. And then he chose the Tennessee Titans. We needed to get D-Hop. We didn't. And now we're kind of in this land of what's going on, right? We've played 3 great defenses the last 3 weeks, and we've looked pretty terrible, especially the last 2 weeks. We've put 3 points up on the board the last 2 weeks. That's embarrassing. My whole thing is Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft need to come together probably after this season. And they need to have a conversation and basically discuss that Bill, as GM, full GM, you can't be that guy anymore. We need to discuss as partners, Bill and Robert, who we can bring in to put in that role that we both equally trust to make these decisions. That's what needs to happen in the offseason. So, Q, I throw it to you because it looks like you want to say something. Go ahead.
It's the opposite of the Cowboys situation where the owner has too much say and too much input on the team. It's the same way Bill is trying to be, the front office himself and the coach.
Yep.
When you're not good at picking offensive talent, naturally he's a defensive guy. 9 times out of 10, the defense is going to be fine because he's a defensive guy. He knows how to, scheme a defense, pick the players for the defense, yada yada yada, so on. Every move he's made as GM has hindered the team. Even if forget Gronk and Aaron Hernandez, when you drafted Jimmy Garoppolo, you had rumblers of wanting to play him over Tom Brady. That already started the rumble. You got in a little strafe. Tom won. You might have been a little salty about that. You send him over to San Fran for a bag of chips, whatever. There's no reason why you can't let somebody pick the offensive players. There's no skill players that on this team. The best skill players they've had since Gronk, Edelman, Aaron Hernandez were James White and Sonny Michel. Those are positions that aren't quarterback really friendly in terms of I can throw to them. They're gonna do a lot downfield. That's a lot. Swing pass is only gonna work so much. Wheel right's only gonna work so much. I need a true number one receiver to go do something. When you can't pick that type of talent, and you go out there, you overspend almost 3 years back to back on tight ends instead of spending the money on the receivers. Of course, the Mac Jones isn't going to be able to do much. Hunter Henry, Jonnu Smith. Yeah, they cool tight ends. They aren't the difference makers for the offense. Mike Gesicki, cool tight end. He's not a difference maker for the offense. Who are you gonna throw to on a 3rd and 8? And you need somebody to hit to be right there on time. They're not that. Then
Yep.
you do that whole nonsense with Matt Patricia, Joe Judge, for what? For why? Did you think that was gonna make sense? That was crazy to me.
That
And
made no
the
sense.
O-line play, it's not really a Bill fault, but the O-line coach, Dante Scarnecchia, whatever his name is, Scarnecchia. Yeah, once he retired, O-line has regressed.
Yeah.
You go in, you patchworking O-lineman, you drafting Cole Strange in the first, second round when Cole Strange had a 3rd, 4th round grade. You had the Rams laughing at you on draft day, what? Because he picked I'm not saying Bill ain't smart, but he's picking players and talking so high about players that don't really matter so much in the grand scheme of football today. I don't care about long snappers. That should be my main focus.
I did
Like,
see that. I thought that was pretty funny though. He went on like a 10-minute talking point about long snapping and stuff. But I hear you and listen, I don't know if you've where is she right now? I don't know if you've seen her on Twitter. She's done an outstanding job of doing these weekly recaps. Annie Agar on
yeah,
Twitter, and they're hilarious. They're outstanding. This past week's one was pretty funny. Where looks like she was like paraphrasing. Looks like the Patriots are headed for a top 5 pick, and it was like she said, Bill is just waiting. Like, can you imagine how many times we could trade back now? And I'm just like, she's so freaking right. That is a Bill Belichick special. Oh, we've got a good pick. Let's trade back. Let's just trade back. It's been a rocky road. I mean, you've got guys like Mappe or whatever his name was that we took in the second or third round. That was like a Division 3 or 2 player for no reason that we could have gotten the fifth or sixth round. We took in the second or third. Cole Strange, I hear you. Cole Strange has been actually pretty good, but I
yeah,
hear you. Why draft him that early? I hear you.
yeah.
Why draft
Like
him that
they're
early?
not even if they turn out to be good players. It's like
You're taking him too
you
early.
you you gotta maximize your value,
Yep.
especially on a team that's spending a lot of money on defense. Like
Yeah.
maximize. Juju and Jacoby Myers had the same year, basically statistic wise.
Yeah. Jacoby was slightly
Juju had
better.
that year because he was with Patrick Mahomes.
Yep.
Jacoby Myers had that year with Mac Jones.
And Patricia and Judge calling the
You
plays.
feel me? there's a gap to it.
Big
Like if
gap.
you swap them, Jacoby Myers probably has a 1,300-yard a year with Patrick Mahomes, and
Yeah.
like
100%. I don't.
the
Yeah, that
ball
move
yards ain't the same.
that move still befuzzles me because it seemed like Jacoby was like a guy who's going to be a Patriot for almost life. He was a guy that was, I believe, it was a quarterback in college or
Yeah,
freshman year, and then obviously turned basically a Julian Edelman type story. And Belichick's done that plenty of times, change position and stuff like that. And it just seemed like he was going to be this perfect guy for that. But he went to Las Vegas, and that was that right there. But listen, man, it has been a tough road. To wrap this all up, I do want to say this. Bill Belichick is going to decide when he wants to leave. This talk of him being fired as a head coach or whatever at the end of that, I don't want to hear that. And I don't, that's stupid because the grass ain't always green on the other side. All right. You want to be like the damn Detroit Lions before they got DC. You want to be like the Jacksonville Jaguars before they got Dougie P. Like you want to be these type of teams that are just waiting, flipping head coaches back to back to back. You've got a head coach. You got a guy that wants to be a head coach. He's not what Belichick doesn't do anything else besides coaching and play golf. That is
you
all he
gotta.
cares
They
about.
have a head coach. They don't have a GM.
They need a
Get
GM.
yourself a GM.
Yep. So and what I want, so if you look at any other head coach, and I'm gonna go through the list that has had the same type of longevity that Belichick has had, they have all walked away on their own accord. Right? You've got Earl Curly Lambeau. All right. The man that was named after Lambeau Field and the Green Bay Packers, 29 years, 1920 to 1949. That one was the only one that was a weird thing where it was weird ending terms. The executives kind of turned on him and he turned on them, and it was just a weird situation. Then you had Mr. Don Shula, the Miami Dolphins, 25
Yeah,
years, 1970 to 1995. He retired. Tom Landry, Dallas Cowboys, 28 years, 1960 to 1988. Now, he was replaced when
by
Jerry
Jimmy.
Jones came in and hired
Yeah,
Jimmy Johnson. So that was new ownership, different situation there. Robert Kraft's not going anywhere. Then you've got Steve Owen, New York Giants, 22 years, 1931 and 1953. He retired. And finally, Mr. Chuck Noll of the Pittsburgh Steelers, 22 years, 1969 to 1991, and he retired. I'd say that everybody who has had similar type of longevity as Bill Belichick has walked away on their own accord, except for weird extenuating circumstances, new ownership, and then just something weird going on in the 1940s, right? But like I've always said, Q, is don't come to me and bitch and complain and all that stuff about what's going on about a problem, because I'm not going to listen to you. Give me a suitable solution, then we can have a conversation. Because all I'm hearing is fire Belichick, fire Belichick, fire. But you're not
and
giving
then
me a
what?
suitable replacement.
Yeah, and it's like then what?
Then what?
He's not
Exactly.
gonna get fired. Bill has earned up enough equity that like if it has to come that to the you can't coach this team no more. You're not gonna be. It's gonna be something mutual. Like
Yeah.
it'll be a mutual. I'm out of here,
Yep.
and that's only gonna look like I said this other. I'm like, if they mutually part ways, Bill he might find himself coaching the Chargers next year. With it, and he probably coach for another 10 years. He's definitely gonna get that record.
Yep.
That
That's what he
he's
wants.
definitely
Yeah,
gonna
he
get it with
wants
Justin
that.
Herbert.
He wants
So
that
what do you
record.
want to do? You want to send him to in your same conference, or do you want to like have the hard conversation and tell him you can't be GM no more? Because you
Yeah.
could fix this team. You can definitely fix the team. It's
Easily
not
fix
hard.
this team. The defense is still top 10 right now. It's injured, right? Jack Jones is still is still injured. Marcus Jones out for the year. Christian Gonzalez out for the year, and John Jones missed a couple of games. The secondary, and then obviously our best player on the entire team, Matt Judon, Red Sleeves, out for the entire year. This defense is ravaged, but I still believe it's a good unit because Bill Belichick's just going to scheme it up. But we'll be better next year if we add that certain, and listen, if we get a top 5 pick, there's a guy out there, Q, that's going to be coming out, plays for Ohio State, junior, Mr. Marvin Harrison Jr. Could you imagine if we got that kid? I'm just saying. But that wraps up that topic. So